Hey, it's Obs here, and it's time to crush our opponents with Weapon Rogue. I can definitely tell you this felt like a jackpot of a deck that not a lot of people are actually talking about, especially because this deck did get some new support within the Sunken City set that might not look like a Weapon Rogue support card at first glances. The greatest example of this is School Teacher, where you have actually only one really bad target off of School Teacher, which is sketchy information. Everything else you can actually abuse in this deck one way or another, but it does give you access to additional poisons, which is always good to buff up or shanks. Even if those poisons don't actually give you extra durability, they do give their effect to your weapon, and that's all that really matters. Basic idea behind the deck is to be able to buff up your shank as much as humanly possible while also having quite explosive plays between Wild Paw Null and Inkveil Ambusher, as these are really good cheap minions that can just chip away at your opponent's HP and then finish off your opponent with a bunch of cheap spells. For the Mulligan guide of the deck, there's two ways to actually do it. First, if you see a Swine Tusk Shank, keep it in your open hand no matter what, but if you also do see poison with it, then you're going to want to keep at least one of those poisons to actually buff it up so you can actually give it additional durability. Otherwise, you're going to want to mulligan away all the poisons that you actually see in your open hand, as they will just be completely useless cards, even though you could use it on your basic hero power if you really feel like it. Otherwise, you're looking for cards like Gone Fishing, Inkveil Ambusher, Jackpot, Tooth of Nefarian, and of course Wild Paw Null to keep in your open hand, as these are really good early game cards, either to remove things from your opponent's board or cards that will actually allow you to do some damage to your opponent's face pretty easily. With that all being said, let's look at some games. Okay, time for a game against Priest. If I remember right, this game is quite a long one, but it's really funny, so that's why it's going to be included. Wild Paw Null is actually really good to see here, and the Guild Trader isn't bad either, just because we can instantly trade it away to actually draw an additional card. And for the most part, most classes can actually fake using Guild Trader as a card in it, so it doesn't actually give away what we're playing right away, unlike if we were playing the one cost weapon for Rogue instead. We're just going to mulligan this away, not even going to do face damage. Getting the Shank and the poison in the open hand is actually pretty good here. We do have the Inkveil for turn 2, or we could actually just swap the Guild Trader again and then go face. And depending on what we actually top deck, we actually might be able to get both the Null and a Inkveil Ambusher out on the same turn. Okay, so perfect. We did top deck a Rogue card, so we can actually get both of the minions out. This will give away what we're actually playing, but that's perfectly fine. Though I probably shouldn't actually have attacked with this Null here, but oh well. Okay, they do kill both of our minions, which is a little bit disappointing. If we hadn't actually attacked, we probably would have still been fine. Getting a Cold Blood for whatever minion that we actually want to put down, if anything actually survives, that is. They're going to discover something else here. I really hope Dredge doesn't actually just disappear after this set. I know it probably will, but it would be nice for it to become an evergreen mechanic. Tradable is also another one of those that would fit perfectly in the game permanently. Okay, so we don't have any minions, but we do have our poisons. Oh, I guess we got Gone Fishing. I forgot which one I grabbed there. My bad. Gonna buff this up, play the Naga lane, and grab probably the poison just to grab it out of the deck. Go face, then pass the turn back. Okay, so they're going to get something here. Condemn is not what I wanted to see. It's fine, but still not what I wanted to see. There's the second Shank. Just gonna buff up this one a little bit more. See what we get. Oh, the Celestial Alignment's going to be real funny. There's no way for them to actually complete the quest if we actually do that. We just have to survive until turn 8. Okay, they're going to play Blade Master. Now, we're going to have to try to trigger that, and we really have a tough decision to actually make between the poison, so we actually can draw through our deck a little bit quicker, or the Wicked Stab, which might not be the best bet, but probably the way I'm actually going to go. Tooth of Nefarian is actually perfect here if we can actually trigger the Blade Master, and we do. Probably should have actually used the poison because it didn't really matter too much if we drew additional cards. Let's see what we actually get here. Guild Trader again. Okay, so we can trade that away. Gonna grab Whirlpool just because this is a really good removal. Let's trade in the Guild Trader. We've been doing that a lot this game. Okay, so they're gonna put down Talion, which is fine. Well, let's just ruin their game plan here. Then pass the turn back. Gonna attack. Want them to overextend a little bit. I guess they can't technically overextend. Okay, so there's the Spirit Guide. We're probably just going to bounce everything back here because why not? And then we can use the hero power to cheat out something. The Dragonfire Amulet's probably the way to go here. Okay, grabbing the Sleepy Dragon. Just because it gives us a taunt. Then Deathwing, is why not? Then just go face, draw 2 cards, I think. There's the Guild Trader again. Ambusher is nice for next turn, maybe. Oh, that is a little bit of a frustrating card to try to deal with. While we can reduce the cost of something in our hand, the main issue with it is I don't want to use the Whirlpool yet because I want to get rid of as many minions out of their deck as humanly possible. And we can afford to take a little bit of extra damage. I'm going to put down the Ambusher. Probably shouldn't have actually done that. We're going to see what we get here. Okay. Tooth of Nefarian would actually not be halfway decent. Or halfway bad, I mean. Going to go for the Guild Trader, though. Then put down the School Teacher. That requires us to actually have a minion stick on the board, but you never know. Okay, they're going to put down 1 minion. 2 minions. Are they going to put down 3? No. But that's still fine. We can actually get rid of all of them here. Okay, there's the second Groat. Whirlpool is probably the best bet we have. As much as I don't want to use it yet, might as well. Let's see what we can actually get on trading this in. Gone Fishing is pretty decent. Tooth is probably what we should grab. We could grab a Crush Claw too. Because I think at this point, the only way we win is by doing a bunch of damage in one turn with all of our damaging spells. We can put down Maestra, then pass the turn back. And we probably should just attack their face to put in some face damage. Okay, Null, that costs 0. And there's the Deadly Poison that would have been nice a second earlier, but oh well. Okay, they're going to play down Doomsayer. We don't actually have too many minions, so I don't know why they would want to do that yet, but whatever. I don't really care too much. Let's put down our weapon, trade this in, see what we get. Jackpot, okay. Can we get anything cool? Oh, both of those actually do something in a turn or two. Let's use Paralyzing Poison just to not take any damage. I don't know why I'm actually attacking into that. I probably should have not, but oh well. Because that would have been 3 damage that could have just went into their face instead later, but oh well. Okay, they're going to play School Teacher. Okay, another Treasure Guard. Doesn't really do much since we do have enough poisons in our hand to just instantly deal with it. And now we don't. Okay, so we're going to probably need to use Flame Strike here, I'm assuming. That gets rid of that, and then we can attack into it. Then we could have actually just put down a Null there to get rid of it, but oh well. Okay, there's the Talion from earlier. That should just give them a random minion. It's kind of funny to actually think about. Okay, so we're going to buff up our weapon quite a bit here. We can put down the Null, attack into that, attack into the Talion, which should get them a random minion. And then we can put down a 6/6 because why not? And then we could trade in the Guild Trader if we really felt like it, but we can keep it in our hand too. Oh, a Whirlpool of their own. Well, I guess that actually makes sense. There are Questline Priest. Oh, that's not a good card to see. Hopefully they don't have any way to actually use Inner Fire or whatever that bless. Well, we don't have enough face damage yet. Just gonna attack into this, let them draw a few cards. Doesn't really do much against us. We can put down the Enforcer just to put down the Enforcer. Okay, so we need to do something. We're probably just going to pass the turn back. If they don't have any type of taunt, we should be actually perfectly fine because we do have 7 damage on board. So they're just going to attack. They get us really, really low here. Oh, Mutanus is not what I want to see. Luckily, it actually hits Probably the best target it probably could have in the entire hand. Okay, so how do we want to do this? Because we need to do something here this turn, or we're probably just going to lose. And that was the one card in the deck that I did not want to see. Because the other one is a guild trader, so we're going to have to use our guild trader. This will give us 2 extra damage on the Tooth of Nefarian. We get 4 damage there. We can do this. Oh shit, that's the perfect card. We actually just win off of this because we can get the second guild trader, since it's the lowest cost card. And it's time for a blast of the past with Weapon Rogue and Garroot Rogue in the same deck. Okay, time for a game against Shaman. Or at least I hope it's Shaman. Okay, we're gonna mulligan away everything besides the jackpot here. Keeping the Gone Fishing would have been alright, but I'd rather have the dredge on it, so. We do have a turn 1 play in the form of Guild Trader, though. That's pretty nice. Though it does give us away a little bit, because I don't think Priest could or would want to actually run Guild Trader in their deck. You never know, though. Might not give away too much. I'm actually trying to think, is there a way for Guild Trader to be abused in... Well, we could just drop the Null or use Jackpot and use the Null anyways. Abyss Wave is actually really good. Smokescreen doesn't actually do us much. Our hand usually is pretty full, but if we do empty it out, that might be decent. Okay, there's the Sleep Breaker. Okay, they're going to use Wind Chill on the Null, meaning we don't actually get to attack with it. We can just Hero Power and go face. Okay, they'll be able to kill the Null. I'm a little bit upset with that, but it is what it is. Here we actually kind of have a tough decision. We could use one of the poisons on our weapon just to trigger the ability on the Naga in our hand, but we could just go face too and pass the turn back. Hopefully they'll put something down with 3 HP so we can use the tooth on it. Okay, so that isn't what I technically wanted, but it does work. Oh, there's the Ambusher. Ambusher is actually pretty good, especially because they won't be able to deal with it unless they have some weird tech choices. Just going to attack into that and then do enough damage. Ignite is actually probably the best just because it'll help with the rolling damage that we have in the guild traders. And then we just pass the turn back. And if they overextend a little bit, we get actually pretty good value on the Abyssal Wave. Okay, so they aren't going to overextend too much here. They do have 4 minions, so it might actually be worth doing what I wanted to do. Groot doesn't do us much. We can use this to just deal with that. And we can attack into the 3-4. And then we can put down the Crush Claw, getting a School Teacher, which is actually pretty good. Maybe should have went face with the Ambusher, but not always the best at seeing things like that. I like controlling the board more than I like doing face damage. A Clownfish. So I'm assuming they're mid-range Shaman at this point. I know there's quite a few really cool lists floating around for that type of deck. I've covered Shaman twice since the mini set has come out. Maybe the next one, but who knows. Okay, so they're going to overextend. We do have the Abyssal Wave for next turn. We do instantly get rid of our 1 minion, but I'm fine with doing that if we can get rid of everything here. And now it's time to wave our way to victory. And then just go face. We are probably going to start to wanting to use the poisons on our default weapon instead of using it to save on a Shank because of the position we're in, but it's fine. There's their School Teacher. Okay, there's a Nagaline. There's Schooling. Get to play a bunch of Swarmers. I do want to do Fish Shaman too. That seems like a real fun deck. Maybe Fish Hunter. The Shank actually as a top deck is really cool. Oh, especially because there's a Deadly Poison. Might as well grab the Deadly Poison. Probably going to use this. Gain 1 attack. Get rid of the School Teacher. Then just pass the turn back. Might have actually wanted to just go face there, but I'd rather minimize the amount of damage that we have to take on the board. We're going to use Frostbite to kill our minion, which is a little bit frustrating, but we're probably still going to want to use the deadly poison. Actually, no, we could just use the hero card to bounce everything back, to ignore a bunch of damage next turn, and destroy a bunch of minions, because why not? We're actually going to put down the Naga Wing first, because this will be 2 casts of deadly poison instead of 1. And then we can use our hero power to get a additional use out of it. Sadly, the durability doesn't go up like this, but still pretty decent. 7 damage for free each turn, and we do still have another poison to make it last for 2 more turns. We might actually just have lethal next turn if they don't have any type of AoE or freeze, because we have, what, 9 damage on the weapon plus the 9 damage on board, so that's 18. And they're going to eat our minion, but that's actually perfectly fine. We don't have that many minions to worry about. Hell yeah, they don't have any taunts. Okay, now we'd be 1 off of lethal here if we didn't have access to the 2 Groots. Okay, so time for a game against Druid. This opening hand isn't the worst in the world, but it isn't the best. I'm going to probably mulligan away the Maestra and the Jackpot, maybe? Actually, no, the Guild Trader makes a lot more sense. Keeping the Gone Fishing just to be a turn 1 play, even though the Guild Trader could have also been one. And those are a perfect mulligan that we could have actually gotten. Having a Shank really early on and a poison that makes us immune when we attack with it allows us to actually use it as removal if we really need to. We're just going to pass the turn back, mainly because I just don't want to trigger the fact that we're actually rogue. Here we can do it just to get out the weapon. Okay, Druid of the Reef. So they're aggro Druid, which makes a lot of sense. That actually gives us perfect amount of honorable kill on our Tooth of Nefarian on one of their minions, which is great for us. We're going to get the Tidal Surge. Okay, Drekthar. I guess this is one of the only decks that you could probably still run Drekthar in and not feel too bad about doing it. Huh. Okay, so we can use Tidal Surge to get rid of the Drekthar if we really feel like it, or we could actually get rid of the Taunt. Going for the Drekthar makes a lot more sense, though. Let's see what we get off of this. The Knoll actually is probably the best bet here, mainly because we do have Jackpot for next turn. So both of those should cost 1, and even if we have to play them at 1, we should be in a pretty good position. It's actually kind of interesting. It's Mech Druid, huh? I guess you could do a full-on mech deck if you really feel like. That's not a top deck I wanted to see, though. Well, we can put down the 2 Knolls. Let's see what we actually get here. Actually, let's just put down 1 Knoll, probably. Attack into that, get rid of the 1/3, and pass the turn back. Nourish should be really good, actually, for a way to draw into more additional cards. I actually almost considered running the 4-cost Naga that reduces the next spell you play to 0 and play Sprint just to draw into more cards in the deck. I just didn't get around to testing it since there wasn't that much room within it. Okay, so they're going to put down a bunch of minions. Well, we can use the Overflow on either the Gorilla or the Squirrel. If we use it on the Squirrel, we get a 7/7, but if we use it on the Gorilla, we get a 4/4. Going for the 7/7 just because it's probably the better play here, and then attacking into the 2/3. Getting rid of all of their minions, and because they're aggro, they shouldn't be able to do much about this. Okay, there's another automation. Okay, so that's going to get a little bit annoying, and that's going to get really big really quickly. Oh, I guess it doesn't get too big. Oh, Wicked Stab. Okay, so we have to draw some cards here, see what we can actually get. Tooth of Nefarian is interesting. Guild Trader's also kind of interesting. We're going to kill the security just because I don't want to get it any bigger. We're going to buff up our weapon and then just go face. And then next turn we have 17 points worth of damage if they don't put any taunts up, and that means we should actually just win the game. And 17 points, I mean, just in our hand alone. And with our weapon, I guess, too. Okay, Moonlit Guidance. Let's see what they can actually get. They got a Acorn. That doesn't actually do them much here. Yes, it does get them 2 additional minions. Oh, that is not a card I expected. They're going to prevent us from using Tooth. But that should be perfectly fine because we do still have lethal. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the deck overall. Overall, I was really pleasantly surprised of how well this deck performed. Across the 21 games I played, I had a 48% win rate, which was much higher than I ever had expected with a deck like this. It turns out, shockingly, Nagas are actually better for a deck like this than Pirates, which might actually seem a little bit odd for most people, because things like Cutlass Carrier and the Swordfish you'd think would be really good in a weapon-based deck, but it turns out you have a little bit of anti-synergy with the Swordfish, as you have to run a bunch of cards that aren't actually pirates. And by swapping to Nagas, you're allowed to run a bigger thief package, thus allowing you to use Wild Paw Null to its full advantage. And another high power early game minion that not a lot of people are actually talking about is Ink Veil Ambusher. This card is insane if you can drop it on turn 2. It acts either as a early game removal, or you could just do 4 damage to your opponent's face if they have no way to actually remove this. If this survives more than 2 turns, you're just going to get an insane amount of value off this, and it honestly is a very good card. I'm shocked more people aren't actually talking about it. It just needs a really good home, and I think this is the perfect home for it right now. Overall, I cannot recommend this deck enough. It's really fun to actually play and get some use out of some cards that I've been wanting to make a deck with for quite a while, in the form of Spine, Tusk, Shank. And like always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye bye.